chop all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv Gaming. Your strongest players already out of this, and NerZhuL was able to do a nice job, really put his team in position to take control of this Wednesday Night Starcraft.
Yeah, I think part of the strategy for NerZhuL this time around was that, or just for Kiwiclones, is that they wanted a Terran player to play the first game. And in playing that first game, figure out what the strategies were. As soon as NerZhuL loses, then they're able to just respond and know what exactly or what strategy they need to do. NerZhuL just a little bit of a scouter this time around.
Yeah, it's definitely, we've talked about it before, a risk when vVv had 3 Terrans last week, and that was the week that they got basically all killed by a Zerg. It can be a risk to have so many of one race on a team, because if you run up to into a player who's very good at a particular matchup, you know, they can run right through all of the same race on your team. And we probably should announce the players here. I'll let you do that.
Alright, so we have Time spawning as the blue Protoss player on the top right-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, we have NerZhuL spawning as the red Terran on the bottom left-hand side. You can see him setting up a scouting supply depot, making sure that there is no proxy gateway in play at all. Now, as Matron mentioned earlier, Time really well known for very interesting builds. I wouldn't say cheesy at all. They are perhaps non-standard builds that have very surprising outcomes. We've seen fast expansions, we've seen fast techs, we've seen fast Stargate into Void Rays with level 1 weapon upgraded Zealots, and it's all just really thrown players off their game. Also, Time very well known for timing pushes. Time has some miraculous way of knowing when to exactly hit his opponent, even though he loses a big battle and he has a larger army. So we'll see if that will perhaps be a factor in this game as both players now move out to scout.
Yeah, it's pretty funny to watch Time play. I've obviously watched him quite a bit on these Wednesday Night Starcraft weeks, but I've also seen him on a number of streams of popular players. And when they scout the strategies he's going for, I remember one player was playing against him, a Zerg player, and scouted that +1 Zealot and Void Ray, and really had no idea how to react to that. He thought it was kind of a cheese, but really it's just a different strategy you don't see. So when you play a lot of ladder games and you face the same 2 racks, the same 3-gate expand, the same early Stargate play against Terran, you learn to react to those things. But when a player comes out with these interesting builds that they've never seen before, these non-standard builds, it can be just as difficult to deal with as just straight up cheese.
Yeah, this time around, though, it doesn't look like Time's going to be going for any unorthodox build. He hasn't gotten his second gas yet, so I'm assuming that he's going to try to go for perhaps a Nexus sometime soon. As normally any of those more interesting builds that you call them, it needs gas. You know, you need gas for your Stargate, you need gas for your weapons upgrade. But this time around, it's just pretty much looking like Time wants to set up what I believe to be a Nexus in just a moment, or perhaps go for additional gateways, or just maybe wait for NerZhuL to run away with that SCV before he does anything to really tip his hand.
This is a really costly mistake from NerZhuL right off the start. He got a supply depot, supply block. He wanted to come out with a Marauder as well as a few Marines here. I'm sure you're familiar with this build where you come out with the quick concussive shell and put some pressure on your Protoss opponent. The concussive shell and Marauders do so well against Zealots and Stalkers, but NerZhuL was supply blocked for a very long time there, almost the full duration of a building supply depot. So he's going to be a little bit behind here. I'm not sure this pressure is going to work.
Yeah, there's going to be one Marauder and one Marine. He'll be able to, I guess, defend, but he's not really going to be able to be that aggressive. Another Marauder will take quite a bit of time to train up. And NerZhuL, I think he's just building much more of a defensive style. You can see that the command center is also in play as well. So normally the build is done in a little bit of a different order there, but NerZhuL trying to recover. He's sitting at 26/27 food right now. He is once again, he will be supply locked once again. The command center still needs about another 25 seconds or so, so we'll see what's going to be happening there. He's not going to be able to train any additional units off of these barracks either, so he will also be supply locked, and we'll see what's going to be happening. Time sitting at 33/34. He is getting that second gas, also going into additional gateways as well, so he should be able to ramp up his production in just a moment.
Yeah, what NerZhuL wanted to do with this build, and it's basically kind of a 1 racks or into 2 racks expand there, and with a fast concussive shell, is move out those first few units and put some pressure on the Protoss player, make him produce an extra few units off those early gateways, really try to deny that fast Nexus. But because of that supply block, he was not able to get out those 3 or 4 units at the start. His first Marauder was very late, and so he's going to try to execute the same build, but he is going to be missing that important early pressure. So Time was able to get up this Nexus carefree, and now is able to transition into what I imagine is going to be his planned mid game here off of 2 bases.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2 base. He may be getting reactors in just a moment. He is getting the stim pack right now. He may also try to go for a factory and try to get some siege tanks, or most likely a reactor starport. Yeah, now that, when I was thinking about it, reactor starport probably the better way to go. And he's going to try to push out off of 2 base. Time, on the other hand, he does have a decent number of sentries and zealots, and he may be able to perhaps put a bit of pressure onto this expansion attempt. Guardian Shield will definitely help as Marines deal from 6 damage down to 4. But it looks like Time instead just being defensive as well.
Yeah, and Time has taken advantage of those 2 separate supply blocks for NerZhuL. He's up 58 to 44. He's got 38 harvesters compared to the 26. But still, Stim is quite the equalizer at the very start here. If Protoss does not have upgrades, a Stim army out of barracks can be a gateway army quite easily without great Guardian Shield and Force Field placement. So we see Time actually getting his both level 1 upgrades at the moment, is not adding any other tech. So I think that NerZhuL can get back into this, even though he's a little bit behind. And if he has some sort of timing here, he could actually punish Time in the fact that he doesn't have very much tech, and his upgrades are a little bit late here, as they're just about a third of the way done.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Time is going to try to run off of 2 bases, maybe 5-gate 2 bases, and getting a Twilight Council at some point, and then perhaps trying to get 2-2 upgrades rather quickly. Otherwise, no, he's finally going to Robotics Facility. Never mind, I can never predict what Time is going to do. Only Time can tell what Time will do. As Marines are now making their way in, we are going to have those medevacs, so NerZhuL may try some drop play as well. Combat Shield about to be completed and 30 seconds away, and he's going to have a very small window to attack when he does not have to face level 1 weapon upgrades.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's actually going to be able to realize that window. About 40 seconds away from both those upgrades, unless NerZhuL gets on his horse here and really gets across to Time's base, he is not going to be able to take advantage as Time's 1-1 about to finish. And again, Time adding both the Twilight Council and the Robotics Facility. And those are 2 buildings you pretty much have to add at some point in the game so that you can get detection and so you can get those all-important blink and charge upgrades. And now we see a scan from NerZhuL into the natural of Time. He might just try to gauge whether he's going to be able to win this battle. He sees these sentries with a lot of energy, and it looks like he's deciding to go home, and he was throwing up another command center, so we'll soon be on 3 base.
Yeah, NerZhuL should be clearing out these destructible rocks, either the gold ones or the back base rocks in just a moment, as Time trying to just buy as much time as he can and perhaps get level 2 weapons upgrade. Yeah, level 2 weapons and level 2 armor upgrades already being started. And this is going to be a really, really big nightmare for NerZhuL, as NerZhuL doesn't have any upgrades started on his Marines or his Marauders. A Guardian Shield would allow his Stalkers and his Zealots that have 5 base armor, making all of those Marines deal 1 damage apiece. I don't care if how many stimmed Marines you have, when they're only dealing 1 damage instead of 6, that's never a good story.
And we actually have a Viking coming out from NerZhuL, so he could use that to scout. He might just be getting out Vikings, expecting that Colossi are coming out. But Time has very nice map control. He's got an observer right over the army of NerZhuL. He has got pylons on the right side in both the potential 3rd and the eastern base. And he has just got observers and probes all over the place here. He's got great map control, and I imagine he will be pushing out as soon as 2-2 finishes. And if he chronos out this Zealot leg speed, he could have that in time for this push as well.
Yeah, he already has Blink on those Stalkers, so those Stalkers will be able to deal a lot of damage towards any retreating units. The medevacs tend to be much slower than Marines and Marauders, as the Marines juice up trying to run away from the rest of the army and end up just taking a lot of damage from those Stalkers. You can see NerZhuL just playing a little bit more defensively once more, but NerZhuL with the smaller army and a slightly smaller income, not too much of a difference there, but NerZhuL is not calling down mules, so he does not have that equalizer that Terran players really like to use in order to dump out a lot of Marines.
So I'll be interested to see whether Time takes advantage of this timing here. He was able to put down a pylon and deny the third of NerZhuL. NerZhuL going for that a little bit more defensive position on that third rather than out front at that gold, putting up the planetary fortress and just now finishing off those rocks and might take down that pylon, but Time is going to have a timing here, 2-2 just finishing up, actually starting 3-3. So planning for a late game with huge gateway units as he is getting up his own gold. So we'll soon have the economic advantage. He's already got the upgrade advantage as NerZhuL just about to finish his weapon level 1 upgrade. And so should have a pretty interesting late game here.
Yeah, it's looking more like Time is just buying time in order to get up to 200 food, and then he's going to hope that his upgrades are the real equalizing factor, and he can just maybe perhaps just attack move with his rather large army. He is also getting Psystorm in addition, so that Psystorm will definitely help try to weaken up that bio ball there. The Marines and the Marauders tend to take a lot of damage, and you can see NerZhuL hasn't really, he's scanner sweep, but he hasn't seen one single Colossus yet, so this is going to be a bit of a problem, but we do see a little bit of a switch now in the terms of the army, as now both sides battling it out. Immortals and Sentries now getting down some force fields, both sides taking in a lot of damage. The Marauders and the Marines trying to fight back, all the Vikings in the air pretty much not doing a thing at all, as NerZhuL now trying to back off once more. The Zealots are getting caught on the wrong side even further. The Marauders and the Marines shooting fish in a barrel on the wrong side, on the other side of the force fields, and Time perhaps the victor in that battle, but taking a lot more damage than I think he really needed to.
Yeah, but if you see, he's got quite a glut of minerals at this point, so another warp in or two off these pylons he's got spread out, and he's going to be poking at this third, trying to take it down. There is now a siege tank in position. No, that was the planetary. I was wondering where that explosion came from, but a horrible force field there from Time, blocking a lot of his own zealots in the last encounter. Now we see him trying to get in here again, and he needs to get a good force field and allow these zealots to do damage against these units, prevent the Terran from kiting. A blink coming in here. Now he's going to try to push in here and finish off NerZhuL. Already a 30 food lead for Time, and he's got to continue to reinforce here. NerZhuL gives the GG, and Time really had the upgrade advantage there. 3-3 was about to finish, and he also had a bit of an army advantage, just taking down NerZhuL, and glad to see vVv able to even this up at 1-1.
Yeah, so one game apiece. There will be no, well, I guess it's still too early to say if there will be an all-kill, as Time is the only one that can now get an all-kill, but we'll see what happens here. But one game apiece, that means that we will at least have 5 games, and that is always a joy for us to cast more games for you here on Wednesday Night StarCraft.